A pair of 18-point wins. LeBron and the Lakers, they're home. Can they break through against the reigning champs? Thunder and Lakers Game 3 on ABC. Thunder and Lakers a half hour from now as we welcome you inside Studio J in Atlanta for NBA Tip-Off, which is presented by AT&T. Ernie Johnson. Big fella back. Shaquille O'Neal.
Welcome back.
Kenny the Jet Smith. Charles Barkley.
We had an appetizer today that was great, and now we get the unsure.
I was going to say, wasn't that something?
That was a heck of a game. Good job by the guys at NBC. They were awesome today.
Yeah, James Harden.
I thought you were talking about the players.
No, James Harden coming strong in the fourth quarter of that game. So Cleveland went home, down 2-0, got a win. Lakers are going to try to do the same thing tonight.
You know, the Lakers, they just need to come out and play. It's we're not getting calls, and our superstars don't get whistles. I don't want to hear it. In the words of the great Uncle Jerome and Philip Arthur Harrison, play through it. SGA is a superstar. He's going to get most of the calls. Yes, he has that unstoppable move, a.k.a. the push-off. But my question to the Lakers is what you're going to do. You still got to run back on defense. You still got to play your game, and you still got to dominate. You're at home. There should be no excuses. As a player, I never wanted help from the referees anyway. I want to beat whoever the so-called best is. OKC is the champ. You got to step your game up and play.
I had no idea you were going to go there, but it works perfectly into the theme of this segment. 6 games into the postseason, OKC hasn't lost a game, winning by an average about 17 a game. They used runs of 25-7 in the third quarter, 17-5 in the fourth to break open what had been a tight game. Now, in dissecting the loss, Lakers head coach J.J. Redick said, quote, "We didn't lose because of the refs. That's never the case," unquote. But he did have some thoughts on how that game was called.
I sarcastically said the other day they were the most disruptive team without fouling. I mean, they have a few guys that foul on every possession, and all the good defenses do. They're hard enough to play. You've got to be able to just call it if they foul, and they do foul. LeBron has the worst whistle of any star player I've ever seen. The smaller guys, because they can be theatric, they typically draw more fouls, and the bigger players that are, built like LeBron, it's hard for them. He gets fouled a lot. That doesn't happen. I mean, guy gets hit on the head more than any player I've seen on drives, and it rarely gets called. The emotion's part of basketball, and I think some of the reason they're officiated the way they are is because they don't show emotion, and that's a credit to them. I mean, they've really taken the emotion out of the game. They're super tight-knit. They don't complain to the officials, and they, maybe they're the beneficiaries of that. I don't know.
And joining us now is the NBA Senior VP of Referee Training and Development, Monty McCutcheon. Monty, thanks a lot for taking some time with us tonight. We appreciate you.
It's good to be here, Ernie.
Hey, look, for as long as there's been basketball, there has been talk about officiating from fans, from players, from coaches, you name it. So we're used to that. But when you hear like Austin Reeves say of John Goble, he's disrespecting me, or hear Chris Finch say of Tony Brothers, he's unprofessional, how does that rest with you?
Well, most certainly we want professionalism. We want our group to provide professionalism. This is the best time of the year, and there's a lot of passion, a lot of emotion, a lot of commitment to all the way back into September and October when training camp started, and this is the culmination of that. So we expect some conflict, of course. Strength is necessary in officials, most certainly, because you want a strong official on the road in a playoff game that can, exclude out all the outside noise to get to the standards of what we want applied. Do we make mistakes sometimes as officials in over exhibiting that strength? Yeah, I think we can own that part of it. Most certainly referees are not perfect at this time of the year, and part of any championship run is overcoming some of our imperfections as referees. I do think that there's a difference sometimes in our mistakes, and then in some instances what some occurrences happen is that rules are really nuanced, and as experts of rules, you have to apply some things that seem obvious to the world that actually are adjudicated properly but not well understood. And our job in management of the referees is to hold the referees accountable to unprofessional behavior and still allow them the strength it takes to do the work and stand up to all the passion that our league affords itself.
Monty, SHAQ here. Two things. One, you never gave me any calls. That's okay. I still love you. You hear a lot of people always say every now and then, this guy is difficult to officiate. Is SGA one of those guys? Because he has a move that the public think is a push-off, but maybe it's not a push-off, maybe it is. Is he one of those guys that's very difficult to officiate?
Well, we would start that list with you, I think, SHAQ. Not that I ever made any mistakes with you. I could probably fill books up with my mistakes. I do think Shea and other players that are, the game slows down for our best players, and all of you that work there were some of our best players in the history of our league, and you know that the game slows down for you. And as the game slows down, it allows you to push the envelope on the demarcation lines of legal and illegal and exposing illegal. And of course, there's always going to be some embellishment. It's worth noting that we use the word flop very generally. Most certainly in general talk, we use flop. But at the league office and for our stakeholders, we've separated flopping as a violation from embellishment. Now, we can sit until, the late hours of the night discussing whether one is a flop. Secondary, theatrical, exaggerated movements is what we call a flop, or merely embellishment. And we've tried to give the league a distinction between that, but reasonable people could disagree between embellishment and flopping, and that's part of the work. I do think that certain players skirt that line and make it difficult and hard on referees to live between the demarcation line of legal, flopping, or embellishment. And most certainly we do our best from night to night to uphold standards, and we fail at that sometimes as referees, most certainly.
Well, first of all, Monty, you got to shorten your damn answers. We only got a half an hour show, first and foremost.
I don't get much chance to spread the word, Chuck. I got to maximize it.
So I think that you guys do a great job. Obviously, you said it, you're going to miss some calls because obviously in real time it's very difficult. How much, to a certain degree, well, it's really unfair to the referees, we and the people at home get to look at the replay in slow motion 5 times, and then they missed a call. I think that's fundamentally unfair, to be honest with you. How much does that factor into y'all opinion of some of the calls and some of the stuff going on in these games now?
I think one of the things that's really important to us, Chuck, is to make sure that we're following the training that we apply. And some plays are really, really difficult. Also, we make fundamental mistakes in what we know works. And if we fail at the training, we get very, strong with our officiating staff about how to get better because we know these things work. I do think it's important. Coach K has this great line where 2 is better than 1 when 2 act as 1. I've appropriated that for our staff as 3 is better than 1 when they act as 1. And so we break the game down into, primary and secondary areas of coverage. And when we do a good job of handing those coverages off, we're better because we see more of less of the game. If we try to ball watch like we do when we're, watching a game, then we're not as good. Most certainly we want to hold our referees accountable. There are a lot there's a lot of effort that goes into the passion of a season, and we have to live up to the charge of that. But there are plays that are very difficult to see in real time. There's no doubt about that.
Well, I do like that quote you just said, Monty, but Dean Smith had one. 1 is better than 2 if it's from Carolina. I would say this, the most interesting thing I saw was at the end of the game when Austin Reeves had an opportunity to talk for an extended period of time. Typically, you always see the referees, they bolt to the end of the dressing room. They don't give players at the end of the game. Was that a little bit unprecedented to have that much time to talk to a referee after the game?
We teach our officials, Kenny, to go to center court so that we're, not leaving the same bombs at the same time where emotions can run high. Most certainly, we want interactions to be professional there. I do think that had a look to it, obviously, but there wasn't a ton of profanity or anything like that. It had a look of, it was out of the ordinary. There's no doubt about that. But Austin was in control. John did a good job of letting him hear his piece. There were a couple of plays in that game that lived on the nuance of our rule. There was a continuation play that everyone was quite upset about, but that we actually got right. Shots that are taken inside the lower defensive box, it's at the gather that continuation takes place. If the shot is going to be outside the lower defensive box, then it's the upward shooting motion. And on that play, we got it right, but it didn't have the feel of getting it right because upward shooting motion didn't start until after the bump, even though the gather had taken place. And so there's the bump, there's upward shooting motion, as you see. And so I can understand in the passion of the moment that kind of disagreement from a team. That's a nuanced part of our rule. And so if there is meaningful conversation afterwards and it's not out of control, which that one was not, we want to make sure that on our end, we're not defensive, that we're willing to listen, and then we go on and let people, work through the disappointment of whatever took place during the game.
Last thing, Monty, and just your response to this, because the narrative is, look, games are called differently in the postseason than they are in the regular season. Are they?
I think most certainly the games are played differently. Obviously the expertise you have there on the show knows that the 82 game schedule is a really long schedule. And I don't know that any of us would survive playoff basketball over 82 games, And so I do think that there's an intensity increase. We don't change our standards. Do I think that there's more intensity? Do I think that there's more banging where no one gains an advantage in the post or, yes, I think that there's no doubt that the game feels and presents differently. We don't make an adjustment to say, oh, it's playoff basketball. Now don't call this. Now don't call this. We're trying to find the balance between what good competitive play looks like when players are not placed at unfair disadvantages through the actions of an opponent. And I think that from one standpoint, you can see that we call we blow our whistle more. I think we average somewhere around 39 fouls in the regular season. We're at 44 right now. So we do put more air in the whistle at this time of the year. Now, whether that's enough based on all the competition and passion, that's open to debate as y'all do so well.
Monty McCutcheon, thank you so much. Really appreciate the time tonight.
Monty, you ever heard of Cliff Notes?
No, that was informative. Monty, stay informative, Monty.
Monty, you do your thing, man. You do your thing. He's one to be talking about long answers.
We call him the Rambling Wreck. Georgia Tech.
It's nice to see everyone, man. Y'all have a good night.
Great to see you too.
That was
Monty
a great
McCutcheon
answer.
joining us. Yeah. When we come back, you'll hear from OKC's A.J. Mitchell, but Chuck preaching, shorten the words.
Stop it, Dylan. That was a great answer he gave, though.
Yeah.
The games are played different during the playoff. That was
Better players.
Yeah,
We got better players in the playoffs.
That was a great answer, though.